So achieving a really good work position is a fundamental key that we need to achieve. If we're working around the canopy using the chainsaws, we need a good position, good stability, and if the trees are quite wide, we need to think about redirects, using the end of our climbing line, maybe using a second climbing line just to achieve some good work position. So there's lots of different options. One I'm just going to show you is just putting in a second positioning point, and I could either use the end of my climbing line, so I could pull this climbing line up, tie a system. It could just be a 3-knot system, it could be a prusik. The only trouble from my point of view is I don't really like having a loop of rope below me, particularly if I'm cutting branches off or rigging. I always like to have a line straight down. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll have a second line sent up, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could just literally be just a prusik system on there. And quite easily and quite simply, we could just dry crotch this around the stem. Trouble is with that, we're going to get excess wear on the tree, on the ropes. So if we can put a piece of hardware in there to protect the tree and our ropes, and us as well, that's going to be a bonus. And it could just be a sling with a carabiner on it. The thing is, I'm trying to save time and energy, so I don't want to have to come back here, so I want it retrievable. Quite a simple, easy way of doing that is with a multi-sling. So we've got one of the rings on one end of the stitched eyes, and then on the other stitch eye, I've just put a carabiner. This is a revolver carabiner. Put that around the stem where you want your anchor point. And my eye splice, same thing, is going to go through the small ring, then through the carabiner. And the same thing, I've thought about how I want to retrieve this. So when I pull this back in a bit, the retrieval ball will go through the carabiner and get stuck on here. So whatever system we have on here, I've just got a prusik system on there. It's going to load this, just check I'm happy with it. Check the orientation, that's all good. Lanyard is now slack, so I can get rid of that. And now I've got a nice 2-point contact that I can now work between 2 points to achieve work positions. Quite a lot of dead in here, get around that. I can go back towards my top anchor point. I can slacken off here a bit more, get good work position if I need to go back up that point. I've obviously got that rope to allow me to do that. I can move around quite freely between the 2 points and just pivot between them. So it's quite useful. Right, so I'm going to work my way back in here. Now I want to retrieve it once I've finished that section of the tree, so I'm going to lanyard back in again. Remember, this is my main line, so I want to make sure this is loaded. So I'm just going to transfer the load from this one back onto my lanyard and my main line so I'm comfortable between those two. This is now all slack. Take your retrieval ball off. For that ring, it's going to be the small cone. And then retrieve that. And then you've got an option to either sand that rope down if you don't need it anymore, or you can continue to use it depending on your next part of the work.